Hello, good day, to me Andy, and this is Travel News. Andy Wright Travel, and of course the whole travel industry has been decimated by various things that have happened in the last year, one of which in the UK is a travel ban. And obviously before that you were allowed to travel, but there was criteria such as quarantine, such as getting these PCR tests done, having them quantified 72 hours before you fly, etc., etc., taking the paperwork, and for example, for Thailand, applying for an entry certificate. And obviously that requires you to provide lots of paperwork. Now, you cannot really talk about any of this without talking about PCR tests, because it doesn't matter what you think of the actual outcome of all of this, but the evidence, the scientific evidence, is quite clear. PCR tests do not work. They do not prove anything except that they do not work. Even the inventor, Carrie Mullis, said do not use them for testing purposes. And the crux of the matter is that they have been wrongly used to ramp up numbers, and they call them cases. So they are coronavirus cases. They're not detecting COVID. They are detecting generally a virus segment, which you can have from the flu, you can have it from other viruses. There's influenza A and B. If you've had it before, probably there'll be some traces of that virus in your system. Now, the issue is that several countries have gone to court. So this is why I say it is factual and legally factual data. The courts have determined that PCR tests should not be used to determine if somebody has a virus. It also depends on the number of cycles that they do. At the moment, they're doing 35 to 40 cycles, which will generally pull up even the smallest amount of virus. I'm not technically minded, but there are plenty of people out there who can explain this better than I can. Just be warned that when you have a PCR test, you are at risk of having a false positive, i.e. being told that you are a carrier or you're suffering from a virus, when in actual fact you're not. A false positive. And unfortunately the PCR test generates 97% false positives, and this is scientific fact. Even the government have admitted this, that they are quite low, but they have still used the PCR tests to ramp up cases and lock down people and prevent travel. And the legal situation is, in this country, obviously they are still using the PCR test, but for example, Portugal, the court ruled they cannot be used. I believe also they have done the same in Germany and Brazil, I think. Off the top of my head, not 100% sure. However, many countries have said that they are not to be used to determine if somebody has a virus. Again, the whole thing about COVID being a thing, I mean, obviously it is a virus of some sort, but whether it's actually what they call it, or whether it's actually just a version of flu that's mutated, we'll never know. because nobody is interested in determining that fact, because obviously if they do, it will prove that the whole thing is a scam, and they don't want that because it would ruin their plans. So Thailand, as with every other country, is on the same boat. They're all going down this route. So you'll find that if you do go to Thailand, you will have a PCR test, and there is a 97% chance that you will get a positive test, and it will be a false positive, and obviously then you will be isolated, etc, etc, etc. And of course they have the other issue of the PCR test being very, very intrusive, with the swab going right into your back of your skull, and with all of the dangers involved in that. And that's another story. This story is regarding fake PCR tests, as if they're not fake anyway, but this is about something else fake. So airlines are struggling to identify fake PCR tests. Really, all they need to do is just assume that every single one is fake, because they are. But hey, airlines have been warned to look out for these fake PCR test documents after a criminal gang has produced them, presuming just to show a negative PCR test, because they must be taken within 72 hours of departure. Somebody's making a load of money at a cost of 100 to 150 euros each. These fake certificates are being sold or made in the UK and France. As formats vary from laboratory to laboratory, with results printed on standard paper with no security features, airlines are struggling to find out the real documents. Something must be really annoying for those that have bothered to get one done legally, but obviously bearing in mind that they are still 97% false positives, it doesn't really make any difference whatsoever. Now obviously people found guilty of presenting a fake PCR test also face heavy penalties, and the fine can be up to 45,000 euros and 3 years in prison. Yeah, so you can't win either way. You have a fake test with that risk, and pay that money and not have a swab shoved up your nose, or you have a swab shoved up your nose and risk being found positive. You can't win, really, can you? Anyway, so the saga continues with this whole scamdemic, and of course travel at the moment in the UK is technically illegal. Yeah, I'd like to see that go to court, but hey. Have a good day. I'll catch you next video. Bye for now.